$1. Holy mackerel. This I got totally wrong. 75 to 80 cents. And what is it? 72? 71? 68? 67? Holy mackerel, that's a fair mark out. You should all leave right now. But why? It can't be worth 70 cents, surely. I mean, economically, are we that much worse? Or is it just interest rates? The RBA did come out 3 unexpected rate cuts. Surprise, surprise. And again, in economics, if you do drop interest rates, the dollar should go with it, so that makes sense. So at least there is some level of logic to it, even if there's no logic to why they did it, which we'll talk about later. But economically, I don't think that the US is stronger than Australia in an economic sense. Don't know about you, but the problem is I do go to the US, and I can tell you they're in the big centres, thriving. Everywhere else, disaster. And even Donald with his old, Rust Belt stuff hasn't changed much. There's job creation there because they've just taken the jobs off everyone before. And one of the things I reminded people way back in 2008, after the stock market crash, I said to everybody, it's all good, jump back in because there's nothing to worry about. And the reason I said that in 2008 was one key thing. The economic power of existence is so powerful in the modern age, people forget how much clout it has. And by that I mean just you and I waking up in the morning, having breakfast, sending our kids to school, driving to work, doing work, having lunch, changing our shirt, going on holiday. Just being on the planet is a massive amount of economic activity. And even in America, when you've got 300 million people that have to go through that existence, it's a massive amount of American activity economically. So the jobs had to come back. They'd been stolen, so they eventually had to go back. Logic prevails. But I don't see it as a stronger economy necessarily than Australia. And one of the proof points there is our trade terms. Theoretically, our trade's never ever been better. We're now in surplus. We've never done that. Not in my lifetime. But we did that before interest rates went down and the dollar still wasn't strengthening. We should be theoretically having a stronger dollar because we've now got a better trade position. But somehow or another, that doesn't matter. 3 unnecessary rate cuts take precedence. Now, one of the reasons is Australian dollar is just not that big on a trading platform. And as I've been telling everyone for ages, currency is now a commodity, it is traded. But if you have a look at it, there it is to the US. It peaked up there around about 74. I was right there for a minute. I was gloating and everything. I was terrible. I was embarrassed of myself. But then this is what life does. It brings you back to earth, doesn't it? And there it is now, well under 70 cents. But again, look at the volatility. A currency shouldn't theoretically be that volatile, but it is now because it's a commodity. Look at the Singapore dollar. We all know how strong and vibrant the Singapore economy is right now. Justification for the Singapore dollar to be booming and strengthening, yes? You're all looking at me like I've said something wrong. Because the Singapore economy isn't vibrant and booming, is it? But yet the dollar strengthens. I was jokingly saying to someone earlier that I think Temasek is looking to buy Ayers Rock in Australia. I think that's what's going on. So they're making sure they get a bit of extra discount on the currency. Something's happening. But this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you, but again, if you're fortunate enough to be Singaporean with Singapore dollars or an expatriate working in Singapore, happy days. But the logic isn't there. And this is when we go back to all of those crazy things I was saying at the start. Things that should happen don't happen, but they've recalibrated our thinking to say, well, that's all right anyways. Because if we started going, does not compute, we'd all start breaking down. But there it is. Where does it go? I don't know. So I'm going to go on the currency. I'm going to predict that it should be 75 to 80 cents. But most likely it's going to be 67 to 72. I can't see justification going less, but we'll see what goes on.